let's just roll right into our Friday Night Phenom nominees for Week 2 of the high school football season. And let's begin with this kid, and what a performance, nearly flawless. 14 of 17 through the air for Brock Hill, 234, a couple of touchdowns, and then he was the leading rusher too for the Tigers, almost 50 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. This kid put up highlight after highlight, and what I like most about him, other than this human truck stick right here, is that he takes care of the ball. He's so in control pre-snap as well. He's just calm, man. He takes care of business, and that's why the Tigers off to 2-0 start.
Yeah, and one of the key pieces of this offense was Brock Hill. We see he can get it going already. If that offensive line can continue to build, continue to get better, Mansfield Sr. has the ability to make a run at maybe Canton. I don't know, but if Brock Hill continues to do this, they're at least going to be a contender in the OCC.
I can tell you they're going to be in Canton this week, taking on Canton Hoover, and I think that if Brock Hill can play another game where he does not turn over the ball, the Tigers defense is good enough that they can go to 3-0 with a big win on the road. Let's move on to our next nominee, and how about Brandon Mitchell of South Central? It was a losing effort, but boy, those are some gaudy numbers. 326 yards on this night. He's already up to over 600 on the season. Also 3 touchdowns for him. Hayden, you've seen this performance with your own eyes in person. How sharp was this dude?
Yeah, as you said, Brandon Mitchell, what a monster night. I mean, running camera for this guy, it was, had to go to some pretty wide shots to capture the balls he was slinging out there. 3 interceptions. Some of those came in a couple of those came in the fourth quarter where they're trying to make a comeback. As I said, they were looking more towards the air due to time, not trying to hand out excuses, but a couple of those, that's just what happens when they're trying to make a comeback. But he can put a ball where he needs to, right in the breadbasket, get it over to defenders, and he can put some speed on it as well. As you see right here, some of these little slant routes that they were running were just hitting for big yardage. So definitely still an impressive performance, even though they did take the loss. And I'll be excited to see how he recovers and they bounce back next week, and what his stats look like at the end of the year.
And also on one of the plays, you saw him do that ball fake and get the corner to bite, and then he had a wide open guy. I think it's the next highlight coming up here. He's just able to do whatever he wants. Right here, watch this fake. Completely gets the corner to bite, wide open, touchdown. He can do it all.
And you feel like maybe the top small school quarterback that we might have in North Central Ohio.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Big praise right there. Devin Haley, the running back from Granville, this kid showed out in a huge win at Clear Fork. A couple of touchdowns for him. He had a highlight play that you're going to see on this reel that was a top play nominee. Almost 150 yards on the ground. This kid just stormed. He just had a special type of performance. And how about that? When you got 5 black jerseys and none of them can take you down, you know that you just want it a little bit more than the other guys.
And that's exactly what you want out of your running back, a complete workhorse, someone who, doesn't stop chopping his feet, things like that, wants to stay up, wants to keep going, isn't afraid of a little contact. That's what you want out of your running back, someone who wants it more than the defenders. And what a stat line for this guy on Friday night.
How impressive do you think this kid was on this Friday night, G-Man? Just watching how hard he runs, hits the hole with determination. Hell, sometimes he just jumps up over everybody.
Yeah, man, heck of an athlete watching these highlights. He had a couple scores. I believe this was one of the bigger runs of the night. Excuse me, but man, it seems as if every time he touches the ball, there's not one Clear Fork defender. There's 4 or 5 on him converging, trying to get him to the ground. But heck of a night from the Granville running back right here. I believe this is the long run, Brian, as he stiff arms 2, 3, maybe 4 defenders, and they all fall to the ground, and he races away. But great blocking from his wide receiver downfield as he's going to walk this one into the back of the zone.
He was almost so strong and graceful with that stiff arm that he threw a Clear Fork defender into another Clear Fork defender, a la a domino effect, to open up that hole on that sideline for him. And then Haley did the rest, getting it into the zone. We know that we can just take a back seat to Storm and just let them talk about this guy for days and days and days, but when you look at those numbers, how could you not be impressed? Like we said on the show, are you not entertained, Whippet fans? My goodness, Marshall Shepard does it all.
If Marshall Shepard does not win the Phenom, if a running back or someone else wins it, if another QB wins the Phenom, I'm going to go on strike or something. I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to form a union or formally strike WW Skiles Field or something, because this man does it all. I've already said it all 100 times. I'm pretty sure people are getting sick of it. But just like a running back, he also can run the ball, puts his head down, but when he needs to, he'll find his guys deep. You know, it helps when you got speedsters like Andre Hill and Blaine Bowman, but I mean, Marshall Shepard, Shelby Whippets Nation, y'all gotta get this guy a phenom win.
You talk about ball fakes right there. Marshall Shepard, one of the best to do that as well. Fake that little bubble screen wide open down the seam. He's the best in the area. And Coach Mahaney and the boys getting the votes out. Coach Mahaney might need to make a couple burner accounts maybe to get the votes up, but he needs to be the best nominee this week. He has to win this.
12 total touchdowns in 2 weeks for Marshall Shepard. What more can the man do? Jordan Vallejo, the running back from Carey, he tried to carry the squad on his back in a big win against the Galion Tigers. 23 carries on the night. He was a workhorse, went over $130 on the ground, and then 3 times he crossed into pay dirt, scoring big touchdowns for the Devils in a win as they are off to a nice start on the season. And Garrett, you got to watch this big bruiser with your own eyes down at field level. It just looked like he was a handful. Anybody that tried to get in his way didn't really want to tackle him, man.
No, Brian, look at this. I mean, who would want to go at that guy's legs? He had a 3-piece with the biscuit, Brian. Jordan Vallejo. He had a lot of the tough yards, too. He didn't have a lot of big runs, but, man, he had the nitty-gritty yards that you needed, the first down, the short yardage lengths, and obviously he had a lot of goal line touchdowns. He had 3 of them. So Jordan Vallejo definitely got the nominee from me, but it was a close one between him and his quarterback. His quarterback had a nice night, too, but he was carrying Galion defenders all night long, so I had to put him up there for my nominee.
Somebody need to check his birth certificate. He looks like a grown man out there amongst boys. Like, you can't tackle him up top. You have to go for the legs just to get him down.
Well, I can think of 5 grown men in this room that want nothing to do with tackling that high schooler. Boy, what a night he had. And look at these numbers for Tyler Johnson. Boy, what a special night he had. 15 carries, and he made each and every one of them count. Almost 200 yards rushing on the night, and then he had 4 touchdowns. This kid's off to a phenomenal start to the season. And Travis, you got to see him last week. How special is this number 7?
He was co-player of the game last week with our
Jack Gregory.
Yeah, last week's winner, Jack Gregory. He can put the numbers up. He's the workhorse. He allows Jack Gregory to open up the passing game. This is a complete Centerburg team because of the way he can run the ball, and then on defense as well. He's a pretty solid linebacker for the Centerburg Trojans, but this is why the team was KMAC champs last year and why they are at the top of the KMAC right now at 3-0, because they have a balanced attack, and he's one of the main reasons.
Yeah, it certainly helps if you can hand it off to a dude like Johnson and just get out the way. You know he's going to pick the right hole, and if he does, he's got the speed to take it all the way in for the touchdown. Those are your nominees for this week's Friday Night Phenoms.